Let's review solving multi-step equations. Okay, so combining like terms, we need to review this really quickly before we get into the solving equations. And again, all of this should absolutely be reviewed for you. So like terms, they are terms that have the same variable and the same exponent. So just having the same variable is not enough. So two examples of like terms would be x squared and 4x squared. Those are like terms. Or if you have 6ab and negative 5ab, those are like terms as well. What would not be considered like terms would be x and x to the third, because while they both have an x, the exponent is different. Something else that would not be considered like terms would be 6xy and 4x squared y. Because again, while they have those same variables there, they do not have the same exponents. So let's identify the like terms in the expression below and then combine them to simplify the expression. So I'm going to use different color highlighters here, but I see right here I have an x squared. So I'm going to look down and I found another x squared here. I'm going to switch my color. Here I have a 3x. Now it's important when you highlight a term, you have to take the symbol that comes in front of it. So this is not just 3x, it's actually negative 3x. And over here we have a positive 4x and a positive x. And then we still have one term out here that has not been combined, and it doesn't have anything to combine with, but we're still going to highlight it here. So now we're going to combine these like terms. So I'm going to take my x squareds first, and I can see that I have 5x squared plus 4x squared. So that's 9x squared. And then I have all these x's here. I have negative 3x, positive 4x, and positive x. So I'm going to combine these in a way that makes sense for me. I'm going to add these two first. 4x plus x is 5x. And then I'm going to subtract the 3x off the end. So 5x minus 3x is positive 2x. And then this plus 8 right here doesn't combine with anything, so it's just going to be plus 8. Let's review the distributive property now. So to distribute means to multiply. So the number, variable, or term outside a set of parentheses must be multiplied by every term inside the parentheses. So for example, in the expression negative 4 times 2m plus 3, the negative 4 is being multiplied by the expression 2m plus 3. So the negative 4 is going to be multiplied by both of those terms inside, by both the 2m and the 3. So I'm going to highlight this all the way across here, and then I'll discuss it a little bit more. So the negative 4 is multiplied by the 2m, which is right here, and the negative 4 is also multiplied by the 3, which is right here. So when you simplify that, negative 4 times 2m, you get negative 8m, and then negative 4 times 3 is negative 12. So the simplified version of negative 4 times the sum of 2m and 3 is negative 8m minus 12. So when you solve multi-step equations, you're going to eliminate any grouping symbols. And I did not just say parentheses because there are going to be times where you solve equations and you have both parentheses and brackets. So eliminate those grouping symbols first, doing whatever operation is needed inside or using the distributive property. And then after you do that, you're going to combine like terms and solve the resulting equation. Then you're going to check your answer by substituting it back into the original and solving. So let's do a few practice problems here. I'm going to zoom in. So we have negative 5 times the sum of 5n plus 2, or n2, is equal to 115. So I'm going to distribute right here. So I'm going to have negative 5 times 5n plus negative 5, or just minus 5 times 2, and that's going to be equal to 115. If I simplify here, I end up with negative 25n minus 10 equals 115. Inverse operations, I'm going to move this 10 over here. Negative 25n is equal to 125. I'm going to divide by negative 25 on each side, and my answer is negative 5. So n is equal to negative 5. And if you have a calculator, you can quickly check this by doing negative 5 times negative 5 plus 2. Put that all in your calculator together, and you should get 115 as your answer. Next example over here, I'm going to show you this a little bit differently. Rather than distributing the 6 here, I'm going to actually divide it away. So this 6 on the outside is being multiplied by this entire parentheses. So you can do an inverse operation here and get rid of the 6 first. That's okay too. It's really up to you what you prefer. So negative 120 divided by 6 is negative 20. And then over here, the 6 just disappears because it cancels itself out. 6 divided by 6 is 1. So that's why it would just disappear. So what you're left with over here is negative 6n plus 4. Some of you might not like it being written this way, and if that's the case for you, you can always flip it around. Just make sure you keep everything intact. So if you want the variable on the left, you can just flip things like this. And then we will subtract away our constant. So we will be left with negative 6n is equal to negative 24. Then you'll divide by negative 6, and your answer is positive 4. And once again, just check all together in your calculator. You'll do 6 times negative 6 times 4 plus 4, and your answer will be negative 120. And if you have to do this out by hand, you can do that as well. Negative 6 times 4 is negative 24, plus 4. Do what's in the parentheses first, 6 times negative 20, and you get that negative 120. Another example with a few more steps over here. So we are going to distribute this negative right here to both of these terms. So negative 1, essentially, times negative n is positive n. Negative 1 times negative 2 is positive 2. Now we're going to distribute right here. 8 times n is 8n. 8 times negative 1 is negative 8, equals negative 42. We have like terms here to combine. So I have an n plus 8n is 9n. And then I have a 2 minus 8, which is negative 6, and that equals negative 42. So I'm going to now add my 6 to both sides. 9n is equal to negative 36. Divide by 9. N is equal to negative 4. And then when you check this one, this is what you will put in your calculator. So I'm just going to go through and show you this really quickly. So in place of an n, you are going to just put a negative 4. Now, you see there's already a negative here, so that doesn't mean I just don't put the negative. That means I still have to add my negative. And remember, 2 negatives make a positive. So that will become positive 4, but then right here you have a negative 4. So enter that in your calculator, solve it out by hand, and you will get negative 42. All right, over here, same thing. We're going to distribute first the negative 5. So we end up with negative 15x minus 20. And then we're going to distribute the 8. We end up with 8 and plus 32x, and all of this equals negative 29. We'll combine like terms. I have negative 15 plus 32x, and that gives me 17x. And then I have negative 20 minus 8, which will give me negative 12. Add the 12 to each side. 17x is equal to negative 17. Divide by 17. X is equal to negative 1. Go back through up here and substitute negative 1 wherever there was an x. And check. So that was your quick review on solving multi-step equations.